The human ship Aurora drifted quietly through the empty stretches of space. Inside, the crew laughed and joked, completely unaware that history was about to touch them in a way they could never imagine. Captain Elena Morris tapped her fingers on the control panel, glancing at the glowing star maps. "Okay, team," she said, grinning. "Today we try the new jump drive. Let's see if it actually works." Engineer Raj Patel rolled his eyes but smiled. "Last time it worked, we almost ended up inside a star. I'll pass on the thrill this time." The ship hummed as the crew prepared for the jump. The lights flickered, the engines vibrated, and a low, mechanical voice counted down. Jump sequence initiated in 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, there was a violent shudder. Alarms blared. The stars outside stretched into long streaks of light. Elena clutched the console, but she couldn't help laughing. "Wow, that's new." And then silence. The stars snapped back to their normal positions, but the view outside the window was unlike anything they had seen. Gigantic ships, shining with strange symbols, floated nearby. They were not alone. They were in a part of space far beyond human charts, inside the territory of a galactic empire. Raj leaned over the console, squinting. Captain, I don't think we're anywhere near known space anymore." Elena shrugged. "Looks pretty. Maybe we just found a new vacation spot." Meanwhile, sensors picked up movement. Alien scouts had detected the ship instantly. A deep, resonant voice echoed through their comms. It wasn't hostile yet, but it carried authority. "Unknown vessel," the voice boomed. "State your identity and purpose immediately." Elena leaned back, sipping her coffee. "Hi, we're humans. Tourists, mostly. Lost a bit." Raj froze. "Tourists?" "Yes," Elena said, smiling. "We like to explore. You have nice ships, by the way." On the alien side, the captain of the approaching ship rubbed his multi-fingered hands together in disbelief. These humans, they were supposed to be frightened, supposed to plead for mercy or beg for guidance. And yet, they were calm. They were casual. The human crew, still laughing, prepared to repair a minor glitch in their jump drive. "Looks like we got a little off course," said Elena. "Nothing we can't fix." The aliens watched confused. Their technology was far more advanced, their fleets far larger. And yet, the humans didn't show fear, didn't act submissive, didn't even acknowledge the hierarchy of power. It was baffling. Inside the Aurora, things were almost peaceful. Raj fiddled with wires while sipping energy drinks. Pilot Maya Chin leaned in the window, marveling at the huge alien ships. "They're beautiful," she said. "Do you think they noticed us yet?" "Probably," Elena replied, "and probably wondering if we're crazy." "Good. Let them wonder." The alien captain tried again. "Unknown vessel. You have entered imperial space. Compliance is mandatory. Prepare to be boarded." Elena blinked at the message. Then with a grin, she said, "Boarded? Oh, great. We should clean up a bit first." She tossed Raj a rag. "Help me fix the air filter while we wait. Can't have first impressions ruined by dust." Raj shook his head, muttering, "I don't even know if these guys have dust." Minutes passed. The massive alien ship moved closer, sensors sweeping, weapons ready. The humans barely noticed, still chatting, still sipping their drinks, still fixing minor issues like this was a routine space trip. Inside the Imperial fleet, officers whispered among themselves. "Why are they smiling?" one asked. "Why are they not scared?" "This is not normal," another replied. "They should be panicking. They should be begging. They should—" Elena overheard nothing of this. She was too busy leaning back in her chair, watching the alien ships glide silently through space. "You know," she said, "I think they're just curious, not dangerous. Maybe we should send them cookies." Raj groaned. "Captain, we are not sending cookies." Elena laughed. "Maybe just our human friendliness. Works every time." The alien captain was now intensely focused on a single question. How could a species so small, so unarmed, and so out of place be completely unfazed? Every test, every intimidation tactic, Every show of force was met with casual humor or friendly gestures. It defied every record, every expectation, every rule in the imperial manuals. The humans had no idea. They were not trying to make a statement. They were simply human, curious, bold, careless in a charming way. They didn't see danger. They only saw a puzzle, a new part of the galaxy to explore. And so, the Aurora sat quietly among the massive Imperial fleet, completely ordinary on the inside, utterly extraordinary from the outside. The Empire had just encountered a species that might change their understanding of courage, audacity, and life itself. But the humans, they were still laughing, still repairing wires, still completely unfazed. Somewhere deep in the alien command, whispers began, "These humans, they are not afraid. They should be." And that was the first small crack in the Empire's certainty that nothing could challenge their order. The Aurora floated calmly among the massive ships of the Galactic Empire. The alien fleet had formed a semicircle around them, their weapon systems powered and scanning. On the bridge of the human ship, Captain Elena Morris sipped her coffee, completely at ease. "Okay," she said, grinning at her crew. "They are big, shiny, and probably think they're scary. Let's see what they do next." Pilot Myachin laughed. "Scary? They look like giant metallic spiders to me. I kind of like them." Suddenly, a massive alien warship detached from the formation and moved closer. Its hull shimmered with a strange energy field. The ship was huge, easily 10 times the size of the Aurora, and carried the unmistakable air of authority. A booming voice filled the Aurora's comms. "Humans, you have entered Imperial space without permission. Identify yourselves immediately. Compliance is mandatory." Elena leaned back in her chair, stretching her arms. "Hello, humans here. Name's Aurora Crew. We got lost. Nice place you have. Very shiny." Raj Patel, tinker with the jump drive, muttered under his breath, "Did she just compliment a warship?" Elena ignored him. "We like to explore. Hope that's okay." Inside the alien warship, the captain's many eyes narrowed. They're smiling. They do not fear us. "What species is this?" "Unknown," an officer replied, completely fearless and irritatingly casual. The aliens activated a tractor beam, gently pulling the Aurora toward the flagship. Their intention was clear: inspection and questioning. Elena leaned over to Raj. "Well, looks like we're going on a guided tour. Don't forget your camera." Raj shook his head. "Captain, they're not tourists, Elena. They might—" "Relax," Elena interrupted. "They probably just want to meet us. I mean, who wouldn't? Look at us." The Aurora slid into the docking bay of the Imperial flagship. Massive doors closed behind them, and the crew stepped out into the grand corridor. The walls glowed with energy, and strange symbols floated in the air. 2 alien officers approached. They towered over the humans, their armor reflecting the light in sharp, intimidating patterns. One of them spoke, voice deep and commanding. "Explain your presence. Why did you enter Imperial territory?" Elena smiled warmly. "Honestly, we didn't mean to. We were testing a jump drive, and well, oops." Raj whispered. She said, "Oops." "Yes," Elena replied cheerfully. "Oops. We're very sorry. But since we're here, may we take a look around?" The aliens exchanged confused glances. Permission is not granted, but they speak casually. They do not seem afraid. Elena wandered down the corridor, eyes wide with curiosity. "Wow, this place is huge. Look at these lights. And the floor. Wait, is that moving?" Raj followed nervously. "Don't touch anything, Elena. They'll—" "Relax, Raj. Humans are explorers. Curiosity is part of the charm." As the humans admired the alien architecture, more officers arrived. They demanded the humans submit to identification, scanning, and questioning. Elena nodded politely, letting them scan. When the machines beeped, she leaned closer, smiling. "Do these things tell if someone is stressed? Because I'm not stressed, just happy." The alien captain's eyes widened. They're not reacting properly. No fear, no caution, no respect for authority. What is this species? Maya, oblivious of the tension, snapped pictures with a small device. "Say cheese humans," she said, waving to the aliens. Elena chuckled. "See? Making friends already." A senior officer, clearly frustrated, stepped forward. "Your behavior is inappropriate. You are under imperial scrutiny." Elena tilted her head. "Oh, really? Scrutiny sounds serious. We like serious things. Very educational." The aliens paused. They had faced thousands of species, from cunning warlike worlds to diplomatic masters. None had reacted to imperial authority with such casual amusement. The humans were like a puzzle with missing pieces. Inside the Aurora, Raj whispered, "I think we just confused a whole empire." Elena laughed. "Confused or impressed? Honestly, I think they like us already." Back on the flagship, the alien captain issued orders to analyze the humans further. "They may appear harmless, but they are unpredictable. This is dangerous." Elena, still strolling to the hall, leaned against a glowing wall. "Unpredictable, huh? That's our superpower. Humans always find a way to survive and have fun. You should try it sometime." The aliens exchanged worried looks. Could these humans really be so audacious and fearless? Was this species truly invincible, or just incredibly lucky? As the humans continued exploring, laughing and chatting, the alien fleet outside ready for every possible contingency, but none of it seemed necessary. The humans didn't notice. They were too busy pointing at shiny consoles, marveling at alien decorations, and making jokes about how their cafeteria could use better coffee. The first contact was complete. The humans had survived the encounter, not by strength, not by cunning, but by being utterly, completely unafraid. And in the hearts of the imperial officers, a new thought began to take root. These humans, they are unlike any species we have ever known. And maybe, just maybe, we are about to learn something we didn't expect. The humans, meanwhile, had no idea. They were still laughing, still exploring, still completely, wonderfully unfazed. The humans had been escorted to the grand halls of the imperial flagship, their casual chatter echoing off the towering walls. Elena Morris couldn't help but marvel at the alien technology around her. "This place is... wow! Look at that ceiling. It's like a sky full of stars, but inside." Raj Patel muttered under his breath, "I still can't believe they haven't panicked yet." Maya Chun, ever the adventurer, ran her hand along the glowing console. "I wonder what this does." Before Raj could stop her, a panel slid open, revealing a small, hidden compartment. A soft hum filled the air, and lights flickered. Maya froze. Maybe we shouldn't touch that." Elena, however, was already leaning over, peering inside. "It's just a panel. Probably maintenance. Come on, Raj. Curiosity is what makes humans great." Meanwhile, back in the alien command room, the officers were in a frenzy. "They've accessed restricted areas," one hissed. "They could have triggered a catastrophic failure." "Impossible," said another, eyes wide. "They didn't even know it was restricted. That's dangerous." But the humans didn't know danger. To them, it was another part of the adventure. Elena closed the panel gently. "See? Nothing happened. Probably just lights." Just then, the alien captain appeared in front of them, massive and intimidating. "Humans," he said in a booming voice, "you have entered areas beyond your clearance. You must come with me for further discussion." Elena smiled warmly. "Of course. Lead the way." She turned to Raj and Maya. "Looks like we have an escort. Let's be polite." The captain's eyes narrowed. Polite? He did not understand their lack of fear. Most species would tremble, beg, or at least cower. These humans walked beside him like old friends. The humans were guided through halls that shimmered with energy, corridors lined with symbols they couldn't begin to read. Every so often, Elena paused to peek at panels, read alien markings aloud, and joke about how aliens really like fancy doors. The captain's patience was thinning. "You do not understand the severity of your intrusion. You are lucky we do not consider this an act of aggression." Elena tilted her head. "Aggression? Oh, we didn't mean that. Really, we're very peaceful. Mostly." Raj groaned. "Mostly peaceful" is not reassuring. As they reached the central chamber, a massive room filled with floating holograms and strange devices, the captain finally stopped. "Here," he said, "you will remain until we decide your fate." Elena glanced around, eyes wide with excitement. This is incredible. It's like a museum or a science lab, or maybe both. The aliens had expected fear, trembling, maybe even pleading. Instead, they got awe, curiosity, and compliments. Elena bent over one of the holograms, tapping on a display. "Whoa! This shows the whole empire. Imagine having this for planning road trips on Earth." Raj muttered, "Road trips? Captain, this is insane." Elena ignored him. "You know, we could probably help you with, maybe small improvements?" She waved at a hovering console. "No? Okay, just asking." The alien officers exchanged tense glances. One whispered, "They speak of improvements casually. Do they even know the consequences?" Elena wandered further, completely ignoring warnings. She pressed a few buttons and a holographic map expanded to show even more sectors of the empire. Wow! So many stars. How do you even keep track of all this? Maya took out a small camera. "We should document this. Who knows if humans ever come back here?" Raj's eyes widened. "Document. They'll notice everything." Elena shrugged. "They might, but they might also think it's charming. Honestly, humans are lucky that way." The alien captain, towering over them, finally spoke again. "Your behavior is unlike anything we have observed. Fearless, reckless, and yet somehow harmless." Elena smiled. "Harmless, yes. That's a good way to put it. We humans like to make friends, not enemies. Usually." The humans continued to explore, oblivious to the rising panic among the officers. Every panel they touched, every display they examined, only increased the Empire's confusion. How could a species be so bold, so calm in the face of what should have been certain danger? After hours of casual wandering, laughter, and minor oops moments, like accidentally opening another restricted compartment, the captain finally spoke. "Perhaps we have underestimated you." Elena leaned against a console, sipping her coffee. "Underestimate? That happens a lot. But don't worry, we're mostly harmless. Mostly." The aliens had never met a species like this. No fear, no submission, just audacity mixed with charm. For the humans, it was just another day of exploring. For the Empire, it was a day that would be remembered in whispers, debates, and strategy meetings for decades. And so, humans were officially invited into the heart of the Empire, not as prisoners, not as enemies, but as something the aliens could not define. Elena looked around, smiling. "You know, team, I think we just got ourselves an all-access pass to the galaxy." Raj groaned. All-access pass to potential disaster. Maya laughed. Or adventure. Big difference. The humans, as always, were unfazed. The humans had been officially welcomed into the imperial flagship, though welcomed might have been a generous word. In reality, the alien officers were tense, confused, and slightly terrified of these fearless creatures. The Empire had prepared a series of tests to measure the humans' worth, strength, intelligence, and obedience. But the humans had no idea. Captain Elena Morris sipped her coffee as she walked into the testing chamber. "Well, this looks fancy," she said. "What do you think, team? Fun or terrifying?" Raj Patel, carrying a toolkit, muttered, "Pretty sure terrifying. They said this is a test of survival or something." Mayachin grinned. "I like tests. They're basically just games, right?" The chamber doors closed behind them with a hiss, revealing an arena filled with complex machinery, glowing panels, and holographic projections. Alien officers lined the edges, observing silently. A booming voice echoed through the room. "Humans, you will face a series of challenges to prove your worth. Fail, and the consequences will be severe. Understand?" Elena nodded politely. "Absolutely. We love a good challenge. Keeps life exciting." Raj's eyes widened. "Exciting? Captain, they literally said severe consequences." "Exactly," Elena said cheerfully. "Excitement. That's what humans thrive on." The first challenge appeared, a complex puzzle that required precise coordination and logic to deactivate a series of energy barriers. Holographic lights flashed in intricate patterns. Most species in the Empire would study, plan, and carefully execute. Humans? Elena walked straight up and started pressing random buttons. Maya laughed and began tapping on the panels with bold intuition. Raj hesitated, analyzing the patterns, then shrugged and joined in. Within minutes, by accident, improvisation, and sheer luck, the energy barriers deactivated. The alien observers gasped. Impossible. No species has ever solved this in under 30 standard cycles. Elena smiled. Well, humans are good at improvising. And, maybe a little lucky. The second challenge tested physical ability. Navigating an obstacle course with shifting platforms, gravity distortions, and simulated hazards. Humans were expected to struggle, stumble, and possibly fail. Instead, Elena, Raj, and Maya ran through with casual ease. Elena somersaulted over a moving platform. Raj used a broken panel as a makeshift bridge. Maya swung from a gravity line, laughing like it was a playground. By the time they reached the end, the aliens were completely bewildered. They are not only surviving, they are excelling. How is this possible? The third challenge was a mental test, a simulation of a diplomatic crisis with multiple alien species arguing over resources. Most species would panic, miscalculate, or follow protocol. Elena leaned back, arms behind her head, and said, "Okay, let's just talk to them like humans. Listen, joke a bit, and maybe suggest compromises. They'll probably follow our lead." Raj frowned. "You're joking, right?" "Nope," Elena said, calm as ever. "This is how humans solve problems. Surprisingly well." Within minutes, the simulation ended with a peaceful resolution. The aliens in the room stared at the humans' performance, stunned. Their entire hierarchy of problem-solving logic had just been upended. One alien officer whispered to another, "They succeed without fear, without training, without planning how?" Another replied, voice shaking slightly, "It defies all imperial doctrines. No species should be like this." The humans were oblivious to the whispers. Elena stretched and said, "That was fun. What's next? Another puzzle? A sport? Or maybe just coffee?" Finally, the chamber's commanding voice spoke again. "Humans, you have passed the challenges in ways no one could anticipate. Your methods are unconventional, unpredictable, and effective." Elena grinned. "Unconventional, yes. We humans like to surprise. Keeps life interesting." The alien captain, watching from above, spoke through the comms. "Your species, it is unique. You are fearless. You are reckless. And somehow, you are capable of succeeding where others fail. You must be studied." Raj shook his head. "Studied? They're going to experiment on us, aren't they?" Elena laughed. "Maybe, but for now, we've passed. Let's not worry. Humans always adapt." Maya nodded, still buzzing with excitement. "And we didn't even try very hard. Can you imagine if we actually planned things?" The aliens exchanged nervous glances. These humans had passed every test by breaking the rules, often without realizing it. Their courage, curiosity, and sheer audacity made them unpredictable, and that unpredictability was terrifying to a species that relied on control, order, and obedience. As the humans left the chamber, joking and chatting, the captain turned to the observing officers. "Take note, they are not like any species we have encountered. They may appear harmless, but their spirit, it is dangerous, and yet somehow inspiring." Meanwhile, the humans were already planning their next move. Elena leaned over the rail of the balcony, overlooking the imperial city below. I think they might actually like us," she said. Raj groaned. "Like us? They're trying to intimidate us." "Exactly," Elena said with a grin. "And we're not intimidated. That's the point." Maya laughed. "I say we keep exploring. Who knows what other tests are waiting for us?" The humans, as always, remained completely unfazed, leaving the Empire to wonder. Had they just found a species too bold, too clever, and too reckless to control? Or had they just found heroes who could change the galaxy in ways no one expected? The humans had passed the Empire's challenges, but their journey through the Galactic Empire was far from over. What they didn't realize was that their presence alone was starting to create ripples in the rigid society of the aliens. Elena Morris strolled to the central hub of the Imperial flagship, observing the alien officers bustling with strict routines. "Wow," she said, leaning against a glowing railing. "You guys really love schedules, huh?" Raj Patel frowned. "Schedules? Elena, they practically have laws for breathing." Maya Chin laughed. "It's impressive in a weird, scary way, but I think we can make it better." Elena turned to Raj and Maya, a mischievous grin spreading across her face. "Who says we can't have a little fun? Humans are great at shaking things up." As they wandered, the humans stumbled into a department responsible for regulating minor laws of daily life. It was filled with aliens following endless protocols, filing reports, and enforcing rules. Humans didn't see the danger. They saw an opportunity. Elena leaned over a console. What does this button do?" She pressed it, and suddenly a series of alarms sounded. Alarms that, in human terms, meant nothing serious. But to the Empire, it was chaos. Raj panicked. "Captain, stop. They'll..." Elena shrugged. "Relax. Humans love a little controlled chaos. Watch." Within minutes, several of the minor rules were unintentionally overridden. Doors that normally required 3 security codes now opened freely. Report systems began mixing data in ways that confused the officers. Aliens froze in shock. "What were they done?" one officer stammered. They are changing the protocols without permission." Elena walked past, smiling politely. "Oops. Sorry. It's just how humans improve things. No harm meant." Maya wandered into a cafeteria and began handing out snacks to the staff. "Try these. They're Earth-style cookies." Many aliens hesitated, then took a bite. Some smiled tentatively. Humans' friendliness was infectious. Raj shook his head. "We're supposed to be careful. They're going to think we're serious allies, or worse, leaders." Elena laughed. "Relax. Humans don't lead. Humans inspire. Big difference." Meanwhile, the Empire's officials gathered to discuss the humans. They are audacious, fearless, and disturbingly influential. Look at the chaos they cause in just a few hours. Another officer frowned. And yet, the humans are not dangerous. Their actions somehow improve efficiency. Their methods are unconventional, but results are positive. Back in the human team, Elena and her crew continued exploring. They entered a control room that coordinated transport across the Empire. "This is amazing." Elena said, "Imagine if we added a few shortcuts here, a little human logic there. Nothing extreme, just fun." Raj groaned. "Fun? Captain, you're rewriting imperial procedures." Elena waved him off. "Exactly, but with charm. Humans always make it look natural." By the end of the day, small departments had been altered unintentionally. Alien officers who had followed strict rules for centuries were now questioning why some procedures were necessary. Some even smiled, a dangerous emotion in the Empire. The humans, as always, were completely unaware of their influence. "I think they like us," Maya said. "Or maybe they're just confused. Either way, win-win." Elena nodded. "Humans don't mean to disrupt, but it happens. That's what makes us, us." In the alien command, whispers fill the halls. They are not just fearless, they are catalysts. Entire systems are shifting because of them. "Unbelievable," said another officer. They walk in, touch a console, smile at the staff, and suddenly, the Empire starts questioning itself. The humans moved on, heading to another section of the ship. Their laughter echoed through the halls. Every step they took left a trail of small but profound changes. Rules were bending. Procedures were questioned. Old routines began to seem unnecessary. Elena paused at a large viewing window overlooking the sprawling city of the Empire. "You know," she said, "humans have a funny way of surviving. Not by fighting, not by planning, just by being themselves." Raj looked out the window. Worry etched on his face. Being themselves? That's dangerous here. Elena, they're not ready for this kind of freedom. Maybe, Elena replied, sipping her coffee. Or maybe it's exactly what the Empire needed. Maya laughed. I vote for humans having more fun. That's a new law. The humans continue their exploration, completely unaware that their casual curiosity was changing the culture of a vast galactic empire. Fearless, reckless, and charming, they left behind a trail of inspiration, confusion, and small rebellions in the rigid system. And somewhere in the heart of the empire, leaders whispered, "These humans, they are more than we expected, more than we can control." And yet, somehow, we admire them. The humans, as always, remain completely unfazed. The humans have been wandering the empire for days, completely unfazed by rules, hierarchy, or authority. Everywhere they went, their curiosity, humor, and sheer audacity left a trail of chaos and admiration. Captain Elena Morris leaned over a railing in the central hub, watching alien officers scurry around like clockwork. "You know," she said, "I think some of them secretly like us." "Can't you tell?" Raj Patel groaned. "Like us? Captain, they're terrified, and maybe a little confused." "That's not liking, that's panic." Maya Chin laughed. "I don't know, Raj. Some of them are smiling when they think we're not looking. That counts for something." Indeed, it did. A small group of junior officers had been observing the humans in secret. Unlike their superiors, who were frantic, these officers were fascinated. They had never seen a species so fearless, so curious, and so casually clever. One whispered to another, "They do things differently, but somehow it works. Always works. And they don't care about danger at all." The other nodded. "Yes, maybe we should follow them, learn from them. They could teach us things we never imagined." And so, without telling anyone, these officers began quietly assisting the humans. They left doors unlocked, suggested shortcuts, and even whispered small tips to help them navigate the labyrinthine empire. Elena noticed the subtle gestures. "See that?" she said, pointing to an alien officer who casually moved aside to give them a smoother path. "They like us. Told you." Raj frowned. "Captain, that's dangerous. If the higher-ups find out, they could—" Elena waved him off. "Relax. Humans don't plan for danger. We just go along with it." Meanwhile, the Empire's generals were growing uneasy. "Something is happening," one said. "Minor departments are defying rules. Reports are being ignored. Our authority is weakening." Another officer frowned. "And it all traces back to those humans. They are influencing our people without even trying. How is this possible?" Back with the humans, Elena and her crew had accidentally sparked a small rebellion. Officers who had been rigidly following protocol were now asking questions, exploring new ideas, and even laughing in the halls. Maya chuckled as she watched one junior officer sneak a cookie from a human's pack. "Look, he's enjoying it. Humans bring joy. It's contagious." Raj pinched the bridge of his nose. "Contagious? That's chaos, Maya." Elena smiled. "Good chaos. The best kind." The humans continue exploring the empire, unaware of their growing influence. Every conversation, every joke, every small act of kindness turned more officers into allies. Quiet, secret supporters who were ready to help humans navigate the Empire's complexities. In Imperial command, worry grew. "They have allies now," a senior officer said. "How is it possible? We control everything. And yet, a handful of humans, they are inspiring loyalty, admiration, even affection." "Yes," another replied, voice tense. "Their audacity and fearlessness, it's spreading. We cannot stop it. We can only observe." Elena, sipping her coffee in the observation deck, looked out at the sprawling alien cities below. "You know, humans have a talent," she said. "We don't just survive. We make friends, even in the most unexpected places." Raj groaned. "Captain, they aren't friends. They're being manipulated. Or influenced. Or something." "Maybe," Elena said with a grin. "But influence is a kind of friendship, isn't it?" The small group of secretly supportive officers began to quietly reorganize minor systems to accommodate the humans. It was subtle. Shortcuts in corridors, hidden transport pods, access to information the humans didn't even know they needed. Maya leaned over a console and laughed. They're helping us. They're like our tour guides. Elena nodded. Exactly. Humans don't know they're creating allies, but they are. That's the beauty of it. We just exist, and people follow because we're, well, humans. In the alien command, whispers filled the corridors. The humans, they are dangerous, one said, but not in the usual way. They make our people question everything. Our order, our traditions, even our fears. Yes, another replied, and yet we admire them. We cannot control them, and maybe we do not want to. The humans, oblivious as ever, continued their adventures, laughing, joking, exploring, and unwittingly inspiring allies wherever they went. And somewhere deep in the Empire, a quiet revolution was brewing. Not of violence, but of ideas, curiosity, and fearless audacity. All because humans existed, and humans were completely, wonderfully unfazed. The humans had become an unexpected presence in the Galactic Empire. They had inspired allies, broken unspoken rules, and confounded the most disciplined officers. But now, a real test was coming, one that no human or alien could ignore. A warning alert blared through flagship. A fleet from a rival galaxy had appeared at the edge of imperial space. Their ships were massive, heavily armed, and clearly intent on conquest. The Empire's officers scrambled to respond, issuing commands, readying weapons, and preparing for war. Captain Elena Morris, sipping her coffee, watched the panic unfold on the view screen. Well, she said, looks like we got guests. Time to see what humans can do. Raj Patel paled. Do what? Captain, this is a full-scale invasion. We're not trained for her. Relax, Elena interrupted. Humans survive by thinking differently, by being unpredictable. The alien command, desperate for any solution, turned to the humans. You may assist, the captain said hesitantly. Perhaps your methods will succeed where ours might fail. Elena raised an eyebrow. Assist? Sure, but let's keep it interesting. The humans quickly assessed the situation. While the Empire planned additional fleet maneuvers and strict formations, Elena and her crew had other ideas. They suggested unconventional strategies, using stealthy decoys, unpredictable jumps through asteroid fields, and even broadcasting humorous but confusing messages to the enemy. Raj frowned. Humor? Captain, they're attacking. Humor won't stop them. Elena grinned. Watch and learn. The humans' plan unfolded with chaotic precision. Ships darted through asteroid belts, disappearing and reappearing in unexpected positions. The rival fleet, expecting standard tactics, became disoriented. Their attacks missed, their formations broke, and their commanders were left shouting at screens they couldn't understand. Mayachin piloted the Aurora directly into a narrow passage between two massive enemy ships. She flipped switches, sending out holographic decoys that looked exactly like human ships. The enemy fired blindly at illusions while the real humans slipped past unscathed. Raj, nervously monitoring the fleet, whispered, I can't believe this is working. It's madness. Elena laughed. Madness works. Humans thrive in madness. Meanwhile, alien officers began noticing something remarkable. The humans' unorthodox strategies were actually winning. Slowly, disbelief turned into admiration. Ships that had been cornered found escape routes. Fleets that had been outmaneuvered suddenly regained control. The rival commanders, frustrated and confused, began to retreat. They couldn't predict the humans' behavior, couldn't understand their logic, and couldn't counter the chaos they had unleashed. On the flagship's observation deck, the alien captain watched in stunned silence. They are not following our doctrines, and yet they are winning. How is this possible? Elena smiled, casually leaning against the railing. It's simple. Humans adapt. We improvise, and we don't panic. Most importantly, we think differently. Raj muttered, or we're just lucky. Luck, Elena said, is just preparation meeting opportunity. And humans are always prepared in the most unusual ways. By the end of the battle, the rival fleet had retreated entirely. The Empire had been saved, and the humans had not suffered a single casualty. Officers and generals were stunned. Reports described the humans' methods as reckless genius, unpredictable brilliance, and utterly incomprehensible. Maya cheered. "We did it. That was incredible." Elena smiled, brushing dust off her uniform. "And we did it the human way." In the aftermath, alien officers whispered among themselves, "These humans, they are dangerous." "Yes," another replied, voice tense, "but not in the usual way. They do not rely on weapons, numbers, or rules. They rely on courage, creativity, and unpredictability. And somehow it works." The humans, oblivious to the political and military implications, celebrated quietly with coffee and snacks. They had survived tests, inspired allies, and now saved an entire empire, all without a single conventional strategy. Elena looked out at the stars. "You know," she said, "humans have a funny talent. We don't just survive. We win even when nobody expects it." Raj groaned, shaking his head. "Win, yes, but we've also made ourselves completely unforgettable to an entire galactic empire. That's going to be complicated." Elena grinned. Complicated is just another word for fun. And so, the humans had passed the ultimate test. The empire had been saved not by force, not by strategy, but by the audacity, courage, and charm of a species that refused to be intimidated. And somewhere in the command halls of the empire, whispers began. Perhaps these humans are not just visitors. Perhaps they are something more. Something extraordinary. The humans, as always, remained completely unfazed. The humans had survived every challenge, inspired secret allies, and even saved the empire from a rival invasion. Yet to them, it was all just another adventure. The Aurora hummed quietly as Captain Elena Morris surveyed the massive alien city sprawling below. "You know," she said, leaning against the railing, "I think we made a small mark here. Tiny, subtle, but noticeable." Raj Patel sighed. "Tiny mark? Captain, we've upended entire departments, confused officers, and somehow saved the empire. I'd call that a huge mark." Mayachin laughed. "I'd call it legendary. And we didn't even try." The Empire's officials were still in a state of disbelief. For weeks, discussions had continued. How could a small, unarmed species survive, excel, and inspire without fear? How could humans charm and influence entire sections of the Empire without intending to? One senior officer whispered to another, "They leave a trail of chaos, and yet it is beneficial chaos. How can this be? How can a species so unafraid be so effective?" "Perhaps," another replied softly, "they are not be controlled, but studied. Perhaps we can learn from them." The humans, oblivious to these discussions, were preparing to leave. Elena tapped the jump drive console. "Well, team, time to see what's next. New galaxy, new adventure. Maybe some planets with better coffee this time." Raj groaned. "And maybe some enemies who actually understand what's happening. One can hope." Maya laughed. "Or maybe more allies who secretly cheer for us." As the Aurora disengaged from the Imperial docking bay, officers watched silently. Some were amazed, some confused, but all were left with a sense of awe. Humans had done something no one expected. They had walked into the heart of the Empire, changed it quietly, and left it stronger, yet questioning itself. In the halls of the Empire, whispers persisted. The humans, they are unpredictable, reckless, audacious, and yet they make us better. Another officer added, "Perhaps this is why they survive. Not because of power, not because of strategy, but because of spirit. And that is something we cannot imitate, only admire." The humans, meanwhile, floated through space, completely relaxed. Elena leaned back in her chair. "You know, Raj, humans have a habit of being unforgettable without trying. It's a skill, highly underrated." Raj shook his head. "Unforgettable? I think we're remembered, maybe feared a little, and admired, and possibly studied. It's a lot." Maya chuckled. "Don't worry, Raj. We'll figure out as we go. Humans always do." As they sailed further into uncharted space, alien scouts continued to monitor their departure. Every officer who had witnessed the humans' actions was left with a lingering thought. These beings were not just visitors. They were catalysts. They had changed mind systems and perceptions with nothing but audacity, curiosity, and fearlessness. In the Empire's archives, records were being updated to include notes on humans. Unpredictable, highly resilient, fearless, influential, inspiring, potentially dangerous, and completely unfazed. Back aboard the Aurora, Elena sipped her coffee and smiled at her crew. Adventure waits. New stars, new mysteries, new people to surprise. Humans never stop exploring. Raj muttered, exploring and leaving chaos in our wake. Elena laughed. Exactly. Chaos is just another word for fun, remember? Maya leaned over the console, staring at the stars. Do you think they'll remember us? The Empire, I mean. Elena grinned. They'll remember us. And when humans decide to return, they'll wonder if it's real or if it was just a dream. That's the human way. And so, the Aurora sailed onward, leaving behind an empire that had been quietly transformed. Systems were reorganized, rules questioned, and officers inspired. The humans' legacy was subtle yet profound. A reminder that courage, curiosity, and a little chaos could reshape even the most ordered society. The Empire would never forget them. And somewhere in the hearts and minds of alien leaders, the same question lingered. Will they return? The humans, as always, remained completely unfazed.